Okay, this is a quick tutorial to show you the basics of how to get started with Premiere Pro. Okay, when you first start Premiere, you're going to be presented with this window. We're of course opening a new project, so just hit that button. Then you'll be presented with this window here. It's important that you have a look at a couple of things here. Firstly, give your project a name. So I'm going to call it Test. And see just below that, hit the Browse button and make sure that is going to a location where you're going to be able to find it. I tend to use a desktop. So I'm going to choose a desktop, and then when I've got that right, everything else is okay to be just left at default, and hit OK. That's now going to load up Premiere. It could take a little moment. And then you're going to be presented with this screen, which is probably going to look pretty confusing to most of you at first. Before we can start doing anything with this, we need to get our footage into the project. So we start by going up to the File menu and choosing Import, and then Browse to your footage. Now I know I've got all the chapters of The Sixth Sense here on my desktop. So I am going to select all of those and say import. Okay, so that is now going to import those into my project. And you'll see here in this window on the bottom left that I now have a bunch of files in here. So what I need to do before I can get started is to make a timeline. So this is the timeline area over here. So the easiest way to do that is to grab one of these clips in the project window. You have to pick it up by the icon. So pick it up, drag it over to here to the timeline and let it go. Now that's created us a timeline. So that we don't actually need that file. We only use that to create the project for us, to create the timeline. That way it'll be set up in exactly the right aspect ratio and frame rate. So we can just hit delete and get that out of there. And then I'll talk you through what each of these areas do and how we do some basic cutting. Okay, so all of our files are here. So they're just listed from chapters 1 through to chapter 19, I believe. All right, now to have a look what's in these files, easiest way is just double click it. So when you double click it, it goes into this preview window here. I'll just resize that to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so see this little blue thing here? That's our playhead. And if we grab that, we can move through this clip and look for the bits that we want. Let's say, for some reason, we want this section here, starting from here, for whatever reason. I need to give you an example somehow. See this little button here? When you mouse over it, it says mark in. Hit that, and that sets the start point for the video clip. And then move along to where we want the end of. Let's say we only want up to here. This little funny looking bracket next to it says mark out. We click that. And you see now that that has just isolated that part of that entire video clip because that's all we want. Okay, so to get that onto our timeline, quite simply, if you pick it up from the actual picture here and drag it down onto your timeline, you'll see that that is now on the timeline, and this window over on our right shows us a preview of what's on the timeline. Okay, and if I zoom in, you can see that that clip is actually there. And when I hit play, it just plays what we put on the timeline. Now, the way I got that on there is fine if we want the video and the audio. But if we only want the video, which you might do making a trailer, we can drag the video only. And see when I bring that one in, there's no audio track underneath it. It's just a video track. Or we could alternately just grab the audio only. And see when I bring that one in, that is just the audio and no video. All right, so that's the basics of how you would cut something to get that all roughed out on your timeline. Now, we can, let's say, for example, we decided, oh no, we took too much and we need to actually make that clip a bit shorter. You can just put your mouse at the end of the clip and shrink it up to what you want. See how that's just made it shorter? All right, so that's our basics of how we would cut, and then you would just simply go to your next clip, etc., and off you go. The other thing I would probably need to introduce in this beginner tutorial is what these basic tools over here do. See this section here, we've got different tools. All I'm going to talk you through today is the selection tool and the razor tool. So the selection tool is a tool I have at the moment. And that allows us to click things, select them, and move them, and so forth. But if I wanted to, I'll just bring that back to the start here. If I wanted to chop a section out of the middle of that clip, I would use this tool here called the razor tool. See, when I click on that, now I can cut up that clip. So I can just chop that section out of the middle. Now I can't actually do anything with that while I've got the razor, so I need the pointer back so I can select that section. And I could select that section in the middle and just hit delete, and it's gone. And then I can move that back to wherever I want. Okay, and that is the basics of how you would get your footage into Premiere and how you would start working with it on the timeline. Thanks for listening, guys.